Millions of people carefully weigh their food, count every calorie, and run on the treadmill for hours each week, only to hit a wall. They restrict their intake, but the scale refuses to move, and their daily energy bottoms out. This happens because traditional dietary models treat the human body like a static furnace. The assumption is that taking in 2,000 calories at 8 in the morning is processed exactly the same way as taking in 2,000 calories at midnight. But the body is a dynamic system. The exact time of day a calorie is consumed determines the specific metabolic pathway it takes once it enters the body. This is the science of chrononutrition. It involves mapping food intake to the body's internal biological clock so that nutrients arrive when your organs are most capable of processing them. Peak metabolic health relies on precise chronological synchronization. Modern technological conveniences, especially refrigeration and artificial lighting, have normalized constant grazing. Today, the average eating window spans up to 16 hours a day, stretching from the first morning coffee to a final late-night snack. Biology, however, is tethered to the sun. As daylight fades, your digestive efficiency drops. Your cells naturally increase resistance to insulin, preparing to transition from processing fuel to resting. Eating a heavy meal late at night sends a massive influx of glucose into a resisting system. Unable to efficiently burn those calories for energy, the body defaults to storing them as fat. Late-night digestion elevates core body temperature and blood flow, directly suppressing the release of melatonin. This blocks the transition into deep sleep and halts the body's overnight repair cycles. We see the extreme end of this misalignment in night shift workers. By constantly eating and working during their biological night, these populations suffer from exponentially higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Forcing a dormant system to perform active digestive work creates systemic exhaustion and total metabolic gridlock. This diagram links the circadian system to metabolism. The brain's master clock is calibrated by light, while peripheral clocks in organs are synchronized by food. Eating late forces digestion, while the brain signals sleep. This desynchronization causes high insulin resistance and fat storage. Your brain and your organs end up operating in different time zones. It is a state of chronic metabolic jet lag. Circadian fasting is a mechanical scheduling protocol designed to realign these central and peripheral clocks. This timeline outlines the first rule, front-loading. Consuming most calories before mid-afternoon aligns your intake with peak insulin sensitivity. The second rule is closing your eating window 2 to 3 hours before sleep. This gap drops insulin to baseline, allowing melatonin to rise. This is distinct from standard intermittent fasting. Shrinking your eating window to 8 hours is ineffective if those hours occur late at night. The timing must prioritize daylight hours. When executed correctly, your body maximizes its ability to burn fuel during the day and then transitions into unhindered cellular cleanup at night. Circadian fasting optimizes the factory hours for processing fuel, rather than just restricting the fuel itself. Circadian synchronization restores the evolutionary baseline humans operated on for millennia, before artificial light severed our connection to the sun. Today, we leave our cellular machinery running indefinitely, forcing our organs to work through the night to process meals with zero downtime. Weight loss and sustained energy are the natural byproducts of a system that is finally allowed to complete its repair and restoration cycles. Improving your metabolic health requires shifting your focus away from the management of individual calories and toward the management of your daily schedule. Lasting metabolic efficiency comes from honoring the body's invisible clock. Take the exact same meal and eat it at 10 a.m., then again at 10 p.m. While the food on the plate hasn't changed, the biological reaction occurring inside your body is strikingly different. The calories and macronutrients are identical, but your internal processing systems treat the nighttime calories as a different type of input, one that the body is no longer prepared to handle. This happens because human biology evolved over millions of years to forage and burn energy during the light, and to rest and repair cells in the dark. Modern life has broken that cycle. Refrigeration, artificial lighting, and constant food access have decoupled our eating habits from the natural light-dark cycles that governed our ancestors. Researchers call this metabolic jet lag. It's a state of biological confusion where the body is forced to perform digestive work at the same time the brain is signaling for sleep. Over time, this constant nighttime digestion drives metabolic syndrome and fat storage, proving that metabolic health is determined by the clock just as much as the menu. Your metabolic pathways function like an orchestra. For the music to be clear, every section must play in sync. The conductor is the master clock, a region in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. It uses light exposure to set the baseline tempo for the entire body. But the musicians, the peripheral clocks in your liver, pancreas, and muscles, don't look at the light. They use food intake as their cue to activate. When daylight and food intake happen together, these systems work in harmony. This allows for efficient digestion, stable blood sugar, and high energy. Metabolic health depends on these two biological timing networks remaining in synchronized communication. Conflict arises when you eat after the sun has gone down. At 10 p.m., your master clock reacts to the darkness by releasing melatonin and signaling the pancreas to reduce insulin production. But the late-night meal forces the liver and gut to wake back up, sending a signal that contradicts what the brain is telling the rest of the body. This chart shows the neuroendocrine clash. As the central clock signals rest, late eating creates a misalignment. The pancreas must process sugar while fighting sleep-inducing melatonin. Because nighttime insulin sensitivity is blunted, glucose spikes drastically, which directly increases insulin resistance and fat storage. Your body's ability to burn energy also drops. Post-meal metabolic rate, thermogenesis, is up to 44% lower in the evening compared to the morning. Since the body is receiving conflicting hormone signals and cannot efficiently burn the energy, it shuttles the unmetabolized glucose directly into fat storage. Resynchronizing these clocks requires a shift in strategy, a protocol known as circadian fasting or early time-restricted eating. This diagram compares a typical 15-hour eating window to a circadian fasting schedule. The goal is shifting your food intake earlier, between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., so it aligns with the hours of natural daylight. Confining food to these hours allows the master and peripheral clocks to lock back into synchronization. This maximizes insulin sensitivity during the day and allows the body to enter uninterrupted fat burning and cellular repair cycles overnight. Reversing metabolic dysfunction is a matter of realigning modern habits with ancient biological programming. Consider whether the root issue of your health is the specific food you're eating or simply the time of day it's being consumed. The human body is designed to function with high efficiency, but it requires the correct environmental cues to do so. Improving your health often doesn't require adding more complexity, but simply performing the same activities at the correct biological time. Circadian fasting aligns your habits with your biology, ending the internal conflict over energy use. To learn more about science-based strategies for longevity, subscribe and explore our other research-driven guides. A perfectly balanced, healthy meal consumed at 8 a.m. affects your body differently than that exact same meal eaten at 10 p.m. The timing of the intake creates a different biological result. Modern nutrition usually focuses on the math. We track grams of protein, weigh our portions, and count every calorie. We scrutinize what we eat and how much, but we rarely consider when. Before the development of modern lab equipment, ancient healing traditions emphasized a specific harmony. Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine taught that health depended on matching our habits to daily natural cycles. Modern conveniences eventually broke this natural rhythm. Refrigeration and artificial lighting gave us the ability to ignore the sunset, stretching our eating windows deep into the late hours of the night. Reducing the human body to a simple equation of calories in versus calories out overlooks the time-sensitive engineering of ourselves. By entirely ignoring the schedule our organs expect, we may be causing a silent form of metabolic friction. Scientists at the Salk Institute are currently mapping the physical timekeepers inside our bodies, uncovering how our cells track the passing hours. Coordination involves a master clock in the brain, set by light, but every organ has a peripheral clock, synchronized by food timing. During daylight, metabolism peaks, converting nutrients to energy. In the evening, melatonin powers down these systems, halting optimal fuel processing. Eating late forces a system in rest mode to process a heavy workload. Because the body isn't primed to use that fuel for activity, those late-night calories are biologically diverted into fat storage. Most of us now live within a 15-hour grazing window. We begin with a morning coffee and continue eating until a final snack shortly before bed. This creates metabolic jet lag. The brain's clock detects darkness and prepares for sleep, while the gut's clock detects food and prepares for work. These conflicting signals leave our hormonal systems in a state of constant confusion. We see this mismatch in shift workers. Forced to eat during their biological night, they face significantly higher risks for heart disease and metabolic disorders. Without a consistent overnight fast, our cells never start their cleanup processes. The repair work halts the moment new nutrients enter the system. Frequent late-night eating prevents our cells from recovering. Over time, this lack of downtime drives the progression of metabolic disease and can even accelerate the biological markers of aging. Circadian fasting aligns the timing of your food with the natural arc of the sun. It focuses on the schedule rather than the ingredients, narrowing your eating window to match the hours of daylight. Front-loading means consuming the majority of your calories before mid-afternoon, placing the heaviest digestive load during peak insulin sensitivity. A strict evening cutoff allows insulin to drop and melatonin to rise, ensuring digestion doesn't interfere with rest. This alignment changes how your liver manages energy. It shifts from storing glucose during the day to releasing it steadily at night, which helps stabilize your blood sugar throughout the entire sleep cycle. Circadian fasting removes the environmental interference of modern schedules. It allows the body's natural metabolic wisdom to function without the friction of poorly timed fuel. We need to stop viewing the body as an always-on machine and start seeing it as a biological environment governed by internal rhythms. Respecting these cycles protects our cellular health and reduces inflammation. It serves as a foundational defense against chronic diseases stemming from metabolic disruption. You can start this process by making one small change. Shift your dinner just 1 hour earlier. That single adjustment gives your body an extra hour of uninterrupted cellular repair every night. Consistency matters. Keeping your mealtimes stable, even on weekends, reinforces your circadian signals and prevents the fatigue associated with social jet lag. Your internal clocks are constantly ticking. True metabolic health begins the moment you decide to listen to them.